What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chad. I'm your tall Tailor, and in this third episode of my DIY designer series, we'll be creating our own archive fashion. But before we get started, make sure to follow me on Instagram @thetalltailor. That's where you're gonna find all the things I make on this channel, plus my past projects as well. Archive fashion. What is archive fashion? What does that mean? After doing a little bit of research, archive fashion is pretty much older designer garments that pave the way, blaze the trail, if you will, for some of the trends and styles that we see today. They're the sought after pieces, the grails, and they're pretty expensive too. When looking into it, I've noticed that's kind of subjective, so depending on who you ask, you'll get a different garment that falls into this category. Some notable examples include Raf Simons Ride Bomber, Helmut Lang, Paint Your Jeans, and a bunch of other well-crafted designer garments. So our challenge today is to create an amazing archive piece that'll hopefully stand the test of time and go on to inspire future generations of fashion connoisseurs. All right, let's get this going. All right, so here's the game plan for making the jacket. I'm gonna divide it into back, sleeve, and front pieces, left and right, as well as a lining and some other stuff. I'm gonna add a pocket here, and all this other stuff I'll just get to at the end. Months of making jean bags has netted me a lot of denim fabric, a lot of scrap fabric. This is one I used to make the jacket, as well as this white satin for the lining.
All right, starting off with the back of the jacket, I'm dividing the section into 5 different pieces, the yoke and 4 bottom pieces. Instead of making a paper pattern, I just used the measurements from a jacket I already had. This did end up taking a bit longer, but honestly, I just didn't want to make a paper pattern. Here I'm taking the largest scraps, pressing the iron over them, and cutting them into the shapes I need. This ends up taking quite a bit of time, so I usually just put on an album or a podcast so I have something to listen to while I cut. Now I'm just finished cutting and I have everything laid out, 4 back pieces and 1 yoke. And after I finish sewing everything together, it's on to the sleeves. For the sleeves, it's essentially the same process, however, I just want to increase the frequency of patches, so I'm just cutting out more of them. I really want more of a random look with these patches, so when cutting them out, I'm making sure no 2 patches are alike. After all the patches are stitched together, just adding some finishing touches to even them out. Now we can finish off the sleeves and get to the front. Again, pretty much the exact same process with making the front as the sleeves and the back. I'm just tracing out a desired shape and then cutting it out. So by this time, most of the large scraps were already used up from the back and the sleeves, so I really had to make sure I was conserving the scrap pieces, so I had enough for the front. Now I'm just doing a quick try on to check my progress, and back to cutting. After it's all stitched up, the front's done. And I even cut up and stitched these big pockets too.
Here we have one part of the front, and this is the big pocket that's gonna go right on top here. And below this, I'm going to add a welt pocket. So I'm just gonna take my pencil and sort of trace out about where I want the welt pocket to be. Now that the welt pocket is complete, I can just put this larger pocket over that and then stitch it up. All right, so I have everything laid out. Now I'm just going to cut out the lining. So I have the back piece facing the lining, 2 front pieces facing the lining. I'm gonna do the same thing for the sleeves. Now that all the pieces are sewn and cut out, I can start putting it together. I'm gonna put the 2 front pieces together and the back. All right, this is how the jacket is looking so far. I didn't put the sleeves on yet, but back, nice pockets. All right, so the shell of the jacket is done. Now let's go on to the lining. All right, so the lining is looking good. It's all sewn up. Now I just have to attach it to the shell. And we're done. This jacket, no joke, is probably top 2 favorite piece I've ever created. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Now let's break down this magnificent beauty. First up, I want to talk about inspirations. Like many archive pieces, this too has a bit of history that I want to touch upon. My 2 inspirations for this jacket were Japanese boro and the movie Saturday Night Fever. Now, some of you may be asking me, Chad, Japanese boro, what is that? In a nutshell, it's essentially maintaining the garments that you have with the materials that you have available. In my limited research, back in the day in Japan, when they get a little bit of distressing or a rip or a tear or something like that in their garments or in their furniture, instead of just tossing it out and getting a new one, what they do is they take scraps of cloth and they stitch it over the affected area in an attempt to sort of repair it. So over time, you get these beautiful garments with a bunch of intricately sewn patches on them. I just really like the way that looks. I'll put some pictures up here so you can see the difference between like my jacket and real boro stuff. Obviously, I wouldn't call my jacket boro, but I definitely did take a lot of inspiration when making the outer shell of the jacket. I'd say the main difference between my stuff and boro stuff is that boro garments look a little bit more homogeneous because over time the fabric and the stitching sort of like wear it in to make it look as one uniform piece, whereas my garment, I made sure to outline every single patch with white thread to give it a little bit more of a distinct look. And just to be thorough, this is what the back of the jacket looks like. We're gonna switch focus a bit from the outer shell to the interior, and my second inspiration, Saturday Night Fever. The interior of the jacket is made of satin, and if you've seen the movie, then you probably already know where I'm going with this. The movie takes place in 1970s Brooklyn, and ever since I saw that movie, I really liked the way the characters were dressed and just their overall style and aesthetic. The whole bell-bottom thing, really pointy collars, and satin shirts. I chose to use this satin fabric instead of like cotton or something like that because it adds a little bit of flair to the interior of the jacket and it has a stark contrast to the exterior. The exterior and the construction of the jacket is definitely a bit more workwear. It is a denim jacket after all, and it has a more humble inspiration, whereas the interior is a little bit more of a flashy, you can see with satin, a little bit more of a flashy interior, and the inspiration is more of a high-end aesthetic. And I feel like that juxtaposition with the high-end and the humble stuff makes the jacket really unique. Now that you guys hopefully understand the thought process behind making this jacket, let's talk about the construction. The jacket is oversized at the top, so it does feature a little bit of a drop shoulder and a larger arm opening, whereas the bottom, it's more cropped and a little bit more fitted, so it sits right on the waist. The cuffs and the waistband of the jacket were made of waistbands for jeans, and the collar is really oversized, so that sort of like hints to the whole disco 1970s Saturday Night Fever aesthetic. You can see the collar is really big, two-toned as well. I wanted to subtly hint at the origin of the jacket. That's why I added these 2 curved front pockets, which resemble the 2 curved front pockets on a regular pair of jeans. I also added a hidden welt pocket that's just behind this curved pocket here. I primarily use Levi's denim scraps to make this jacket. That's why there's so many different types and different colors of denim. And one thing I just wanted to add, because you guys probably noticed it as soon as I brought the jacket out, there are currently no buttons on the jacket at all. That's not how it's gonna stay. The only reason why I don't have any buttons or any buttonholes is because, well, everything's closed outside. I had no chance to go outside and sort of like browse and see which buttons would fit. But rest assured, I do plan on adding buttons to this jacket just as soon as like everything opens up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my take on archive fashion. This DIY designer episode was a little bit different than my previous ones. Instead of remaking a specific piece, I sort of remade a concept of designer garments. So definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if you guys want to see the other things I've made in this series, I'll make sure to link the full playlist down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and share. And if you're new here, definitely make sure to subscribe for more stuff like this. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at The Tall Tailor. I really hope everybody's staying safe and sane. Bye.